Puffy ever been in a coma? Has anything happened to him?
This moment, Cassie, I will advocate for you.
Jaguar Wright has always been a firecracker in the music industry, someone who never shies away from calling out big names and exposing their dirty laundry. For years, she's been the voice that's whispered the truth everyone else was too scared to say out loud. And now, as rumors swirl that she's stepping up to testify in Diddy's trial, things are about to get messy. If even half of what she's claimed is true, this could be the final blow that sends Diddy spiraling toward a much-deserved downfall.
Okay, this is what I mean when I say people wake up every day and just volunteer lies. Diddy, how are we supposed to believe anything that comes out of your mouth? And furthermore, why should we not believe the rumors of things going in your mouth when you out here volunteering bold-faced lies? You would still be lying to us right now if it was no video. You didn't even apologize to Cassie in the video.
Jaguar Wright's disdain for Diddy isn't new. It's practically legendary. She's been vocal about him for years, accusing him of everything from ruining careers to, quite literally, ruining lives. Wright, known for her explosive energy and unfiltered commentary, has spent the last few years tearing into Diddy at every opportunity. She's never been one to mince words, claiming that his entire empire was built on manipulation, lies, and, worst of all, outright criminal behavior. And it's not just hearsay. Time and time again, Wright has hinted at knowing far more about Diddy's past than anyone else is willing to admit.
Nor did you apologize for lying that you didn't do what you knew you was on tape doing. So who was this apology for? I'll tell you who it was for. Diddy's ego, Diddy's brand. Diddy and his handlers are looking at this all wrong. You trying to salvage his professional career.
Take, for example, the case of Kim Porter. When she tragically passed away, Jaguar was one of the first to voice suspicion. People don't just pass away like that, she said in interviews, alluding to Diddy's possible involvement. There's never been any concrete evidence linking him to Porter's passing, but Wright's insistence has fueled countless conspiracy theories online. Wright knows how to plant a seed of doubt, and that's exactly what she's done with Diddy. She's painting him as a villain whose time has finally run out. And let's be real, Jaguar Wright has never been one to let bygones be bygones. Whether it's her calling out Alicia Keys for being a sellout, or going after the Roots for being complicit in the shady practices of the music industry, she's always stood her ground, refusing to let powerful men, like Diddy, get away with what they've done. And now, with the opportunity to officially speak out in court, she's poised to deliver the knockout punch. But how did we get here? How did Diddy, once the golden boy of hip-hop, end up on the precipice of losing everything? It's time to go back, way back, to the beginning of his rise to power, a journey that's paved with broken promises, destroyed careers, and a trail of bodies, both literal and metaphorical.
So when is it possible that we would actually see him being arrested or facing any of these indictments? Could it be months down the line?
I feel that it would be months down the line. I would not be surprised if it was before the end of this year. Because again, this is going to be a massive investigation involving at least 3 states, much as we saw in the Epstein case.
Diddy's story is one of ruthless ambition. From the moment he stepped into the music industry, it was clear that he wasn't just another artist or producer. He was someone willing to do whatever it took to get to the top. Born Sean Combs, Diddy started his career at Uptown Records under Andre Harrell, a name Jaguar Wright has also mentioned numerous times, painting a picture of Diddy as a backstabbing opportunist, even in those early days. Harrell gave him his first big break, but when Diddy was fired from Uptown Records instead of crashing and burning, he used the connections he'd built to start his own label, Bad Boy Records. Bad Boy Records became a powerhouse in the 90s, thanks to acts like the notorious B.I.G. and Faith Evans. But it wasn't just talent and business acumen that made Diddy successful. No, according to Wright and other insiders, it was fear, manipulation, and a willingness to destroy anyone who stood in his way. Rumors swirled that Diddy was more than just a record executive. He was someone who orchestrated street-level violence to protect his empire and keep his rivals at bay. And while much of that talk has remained in the shadows, it's hard to ignore how many people close to him have ended up deceased or destroyed.
It's too many coincidences.
Too many.
Take Biggie Smalls, for instance. His assassination remains unsolved, but many have speculated over the years that Diddy knew more than he let on. Some have even suggested that Diddy sacrificed Biggie to preserve his own career in the East Coast, West Coast rap feud, which was tearing the music industry apart in the 90s. Wright, in her many online rants, has often circled back to this idea, alluding to the fact that Diddy's survival during this violent period was no accident. While others fell, shakier. Biggie, Diddy kept rising. Coincidence? According to Jaguar Wright, definitely not. She's hinted that Diddy's involvement in the infamous Shakur and Biggie assassinations might not be as distant as he'd like people to believe. Fast forward to the early 2000s, and Diddy's empire was bigger than ever. But behind the flashy parties, the hit records, and the larger-than-life persona, the whispers of darkness grew louder. There were the constant allegations of unpaid royalties, artists accusing him of contract manipulation, and, of course, the never-ending stream of lawsuits that somehow always got settled quietly. But Jaguar Wright has repeatedly said that this was just the tip of the iceberg. She's often pointed out that Diddy's legal team has been top-notch for decades, ensuring that he always stays just ahead of the law.
But there's a lot of evidence to gather over many years, but is it possible that a federal indictment could be just around the corner?
I would hesitate to say just around the corner, because with all of the experience I've had with these office approaches cases, they do not move until they have you fully, like they have you dead to rights.
And then, of course, there's the shadow of Kim Porter's demise. Jaguar Wright wasn't the only one raising eyebrows when Porter passed away in 2018 from what was initially reported as pneumonia. The fact that she had been working on a tell-all book at the time of her passing only added fuel to the fire. Wright has repeatedly suggested that Porter's passing wasn't accidental and has alluded to Diddy's alleged involvement. Whether or not there's any truth to these claims, one thing is for certain. Diddy's name has been linked to far too many untimely passings for it to be ignored.
He has people followed, he has people watched, he does all kinds of and he's a piece of shit.
As Jaguar Wright gears up to potentially testify, Diddy's past is being laid bare like never before. It's not just about one woman's accusations, it's about decades of unpunished crimes, abuse, and manipulation. Wright's voice has become a rallying cry for those who have been hurt by Diddy, for the artists he's exploited, and for the people who believe that his reign of terror is finally coming to an end. Even Cassie, who spent years in an abusive relationship with Diddy, seems to echo this sentiment. Her recent lawsuit, in which she accused him of assault and years of mistreatment, has reopened wounds that many thought were long buried. Jaguar Wright has been one of Cassie's biggest supporters, calling out the industry for turning a blind eye to Diddy's actions for far too long. It's a shame that it took one Cassie to get everyone to listen, said one fan in a YouTube comment highlighting the tragic reality of how long Diddy's alleged behavior has been an open secret in the industry. And that's exactly what Wright has been saying for years, that everyone knew, but no one wanted to act.
Because see, I know something that a lot of people don't know. I know that you and Kim Porter had a sit down right before she left us.
But now, thanks to Jaguar Wright, the tide is finally turning. More and more people are coming forward emboldened by her words and the increasing number of lawsuits against Diddy. It's not just about the music anymore. It's about justice. Wright's public declarations, alongside the legal battles Diddy is facing, are painting a picture of a man whose empire is crumbling and fast.
Possibility that he walks away clean from this, that everything is dropped and he faces no charges or any prison time?
Not impossible. I mean, anything is possible. But I don't see that happening. I see him kind of going the path of R. Kelly, where again, for so many decades, he was able to act with impunity and just, with harming so many.
Wright has consistently highlighted the hypocrisy of the industry, how Diddy was allowed to get away with behavior that would have destroyed anyone else's career. She's pointed out how, for years, he's wielded his power like a weapon, silencing anyone who dared to speak out against him. Fans have rallied around her not just because of what she's saying, but because of how she's saying it. Wright is raw, unfiltered, and undeniably authentic. In an industry full of polished PR statements and carefully curated images, she's a breath of fresh air. And now, as Wright stands on the precipice of potentially testifying against Diddy, it feels like the culmination of everything she's been working toward. For years, she's been calling out the hypocrisy and criminal behavior in the music industry. And now, with Diddy finally being forced to answer for his actions, it's clear that the reckoning she's been predicting is finally here.
For what's trending in true crime, nearly 30 years after the death of legendary rapper Tupac Shakur, the man accused of his murder is now claiming that Sean Diddy Combs once ordered a hit on the rap icon. In a recent court filing, a 2009 interview between police and Dwayne Keefe D. Davis is making headlines yet again.
But this is just the beginning. If Wright's testimony goes as expected, it could open the floodgates for even more revelations about Diddy's past. Wright has alluded to other dark secrets, names, dates, and events that have yet to be exposed. As Diddy's world crumbles, one can't help but wonder, how many more people will be dragged down with him? How many more careers will be destroyed?
So why do you think they tied Diddy name to it?
Because it makes the East Coast and West Coast war works for the authorities and for the news media. Didn't no cops do that. It was an East Coast, West Coast war, and it was a drive-by shooting. It was never no damn drive-by shooting.
As Jaguar Wright's potential testimony looms, there's a growing sense that this might not just be about Diddy's past. It might unravel an entire web of secrets that have been kept hidden for decades. The lawsuits and allegations surrounding Diddy, shocking as they are, could be just the beginning. The shadow of Shakur's assassination in 1996, one of the most infamous and mysterious events in hip-hop history, has recently been thrust back into the spotlight, and the question that nobody ever wanted to ask is finally being asked. Was Diddy involved in Shakur's demise? And if so, how deep does that rabbit hole go?
Now, Combs has long denied any involvement with Tupac's murder. He's never been charged. Our question this morning, how believable is Keffe D's Diddy accusation?
For years, people have speculated about Diddy's role in the East Coast-West Coast rap feud that left both Shakur and the notorious B.I.G. deceased. It's a conspiracy theory that has gripped fans and insiders alike. Diddy, the mastermind behind Bad Boy Records, orchestrated, or at the very least knew about, the assassination of his biggest rival, Shakur. And now, with the resurfacing of these rumors and new investigations into old assassinations, Diddy's name is back in the mix. This time, it's not just idle gossip. It's starting to feel like the long, silenced whispers are becoming screams.
They pressing him so bad, and I don't know how I should say this, that a week or two ago, they beat him up in jail. The cops.
Keffe D, a former Crip and longtime figure in the Shakur assassination case, has publicly claimed that Diddy had offered $1 million bounty to take out Shakur back in the 90s. Keffe D even went so far as to confess that he was in the car that gunned down Shakur on that fateful night in Las Vegas. This is no small allegation, and while Diddy has always denied any involvement, the timing of these revelations, combined with the current wave of lawsuits and investigations, paints a much darker picture. If Jaguar Wright testifies, she could tie all these loose threads together, delivering the blow that topples Diddy's empire once and for all.
Ultimately, how these accusations have to be viewed right now, because we've had, almost 15 years, and the police have not connected Diddy to these accusations. There may be some truth to them, there may not, but right now, there obviously hasn't been enough for the police to make an arrest.
Let's not forget, Diddy was at the center of everything during the 90s hip-hop wars. His rivalry with Death Row Records, led by Suge Knight, was more than just about music. It was personal, it was heated, and it was dangerous. And it's no coincidence that Diddy survived the bloodshed while others like Shakur and Biggie ended up deceased. Now, whether or not he directly ordered a hit, the fact remains, Diddy benefited from Shakur's assassination. And that's something Wright has alluded to repeatedly, suggesting that Diddy's hands aren't as clean as he'd like everyone to believe. Rumors have been swirling for years that Diddy's involvement with gang members went far beyond simple business dealings. It's been said that he used his connections with the Crips for protection, and that those same connections may have played a role in the East Coast-West Coast feud. And here's where things get even messier. It's not just Shakur's assassination that's under scrutiny, but the entire web of violence and corruption that surrounded Diddy during his rise to power.
It may be some truth to it. But this dude is raping grown men. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we can laugh at it, but, it sounds like it's true. I'm looking at it right now, and Diddy, he did go to prison, and he offered the inmate $2.3 million to settle the case, so.
Now, with Keffe D's allegations back in the spotlight and Wright's possible testimony, we could finally be seeing the first cracks in Diddy's carefully constructed public persona. He's always portrayed himself as the ultimate survivor, the king who outlasted the rap game's most dangerous era. But what if that survival came at the cost of others' lives? And what if the truth is finally catching up with him?
I come right till today, right now, nobody knows what Kim Porter phoned in.
One of the most disturbing aspects of this whole saga is that Diddy's name is connected not just to Shakur's assassination, but also to the string of demises and destroyed lives that seem to follow him wherever he goes. Kim Porter's demise in 2018 is one of the most glaring examples. Porter, who was Diddy's longtime partner and the mother of 3 of his children, passed away suddenly at the age of 47. Officially, the cause of demise was pneumonia, but the fact that Porter had been working on a tell-all memoir at the time raised suspicions. Jaguar Wright was one of the first to point out how convenient it was for Diddy that Porter never got the chance to release her book, which, according to Wright, would have exposed Diddy's darkest secrets.
The case needs to be reopened, man. The case really needs to be reopened.
And Wright isn't alone in her suspicions. Fans and industry insiders alike have long questioned the circumstances of Porter's demise. Some have even speculated that Diddy had a hand in it. After all, Porter knew him better than almost anyone. She had been with him during the height of his career, witnessed his rise to power, and allegedly knew about the skeletons in his closet. Wright has been clear in her stance. Porter's demise was no accident, and if the truth ever comes out, it could be the final nail in Diddy's coffin.
But that's Kim's story. That's Kim's book. That's Kim's book. Then you hear about the fact that he broke Kim's nose on a yacht?
Wow, I ain't hear about that.
But it's not just about Kim Porter. Diddy's entire career is littered with the remnants of people who've been left broken, betrayed, or worse. Look at L.B. Sure, who recently had a near-demise experience. Sure was once a close associate of Diddy and was also Kim Porter's former partner. Jaguar Wright has insinuated that Shore's brush with demise might not have been as accidental as it seemed. According to Wright, there's a pattern here. Anyone who gets too close to Diddy, who knows too much about his real activities, ends up silenced, one way or another.
It was all, insecurities. Anytime a man would go out his way to wiretap someone's phone or put taps in their homes just to monitor their conversation, that's a sign of insanity. So when you see someone doing that, you can imagine everything else they do.
It's also worth noting that 3 out of the 5 founding members of Uptown Records, Andre Harrell, Heavy D, and Kim Porter, are deceased. Al-B, Sure, almost passed away too, leaving Diddy as the last man standing. Wright has been vocal about this, pointing out how strange it is that the people closest to Diddy have been dropping like flies while he continues to thrive. Isn't that interesting? Wright asked in one of her infamous interviews. It's the kind of rhetorical question that doesn't need an answer because the implication is clear. Diddy's survival isn't just luck, it's calculated. And as more lawsuits pile up against him, Diddy's empire appears to be crumbling from the inside out. The Cassie lawsuit, in particular, has sent shockwaves through the industry. Cassie's allegations of assault and years of mistreatment by Diddy have shattered the carefully curated image he's maintained for so long. For years, Cassie was seen as Diddy's protege and partner, but behind the scenes, it seems their relationship was anything but glamorous. Jaguar Wright has been one of Cassie's most vocal supporters, praising her for having the courage to come forward and expose the truth. It's about time, Wright has said, and fans agree. I love her. I watch as much from her as I can. She knows what has always been going on. I believe her, commented one fan, echoing the growing sentiment that Diddy's time is finally up.
He broke him, let's say allegedly, but it was told by people in her camp that he broke Kim's nose on a yacht. So Cassie's story is Kim's story. Cassie's book is Kim's book.
Wright has made it clear that Diddy's downfall is about more than just one lawsuit or one testimony. It's about exposing an entire system of corruption and abuse that's been allowed to fester for decades. With the potential testimony of Wright and the ongoing investigations into Shakur's assassination, the full scope of Diddy's crimes might finally come to light. And if that happens, Diddy won't be the only one to fall. Wright has hinted that there are others, big names in the industry, who are connected to Diddy's web of lies and deceit. If Diddy goes down, he could take a lot of people with him. And let's not forget, this is the music industry we're talking about, an industry notorious for covering up scandals, protecting powerful figures, and silencing victims. If Wright's testimony and the current investigations lead to a full-blown unraveling of Diddy's empire, it could open the floodgates for even more revelations. What other secrets are waiting to be exposed? How many more careers were built on the backs of silenced victims? The specter of Shakur's assassination is just one part of a larger, more sinister picture. And as more people start to speak out, it's becoming increasingly clear that Diddy's empire was built on more than just music. It was built on fear, manipulation, and violence. Fans are beginning to connect the dots, realizing that the Diddy they've idolized for so long might not be the man they thought he was.
And that really put their hands on women really is people who have men who have feminine traits. So, it really takes a coward to put his hands on a woman. So, a man is so strong enough, we can just walk away. You can do, it's so many different things that you can do other than get upset, put your hands on a woman. But that comes from a man who's not quite a grown man.
Wright's potential testimony could be the tipping point, the moment when all the rumors, the allegations, and the whispers finally explode into the public eye. And when that happens, there's no telling who else might get caught in the fallout. One thing is for sure, Diddy's time is running out, and the truth, as they say, always comes to light. So, with everything we've uncovered about Diddy's dark past and Jaguar Wright's potential testimony, the big question is, could this really be the end for him? Do you believe Jaguar Wright's claims will finally bring justice? Or is there still a chance Diddy might escape unscathed? Let us know what you think in the comments below. See you next time.